Hey, how's everybody doing out there? You're now in with your host, Lionel Mosby Jr. for the Lion and the Lambo podcast, man. We need everybody out there just celebrating because we are starting something revolutionary here, okay? Where we're going to actually discuss and talk about biblical entrepreneurship. We're going to talk about impact and talk about true success. And you literally can find us everywhere. I mean, you're talking about Apple, Google, Spotify, Anchor. We're on YouTube as well. So wherever you want to consume this content, you will be able to do so. So find us wherever you love listening to podcasts at, and we are there. And I'm so excited to start this off with my guy, man. Like, we've been rocking for years, right?
Wow.
And so I had to have him come on and shoot this thing off and talking about biblical entrepreneurship and really going through his story, right? And being able to show how you guys out there who are looking to use your gift, your talents for God's glory, you can do it. You can do it. You know, you can do it. You don't have to put it on a back burner. So I want to welcome in my guy, Xav Handfield, to the Lion and the Lambo podcast. Man, Xav, how are you doing, man? What's going on in your world?
Yes, sir, man. It's an honor to be on the Lion and the Lambo. I plan to own a Lambo one day. So I feel like, I don't know if this is a premonition or this is a projection. But yo, man, I am feeling great, man. Super excited about what we are going to discuss. And I think it's going to help a lot of people.
Man, that's awesome, man. I definitely appreciate you coming on. I actually wanted to ask because, you know, this is I know you've been on a lot of podcasts, right? You know, you've done a lot of interviews so far, right?
Yes,
but do you actually have any podcasts that you enjoy listening to in your spare time? You know, is there any podcast that you have been kind of consuming?
Yes, I have. Funny enough, a couple of days ago, I was listening to 30 Minutes with the Perrys. So Jackie Hill Perry and Preston Perry, and they were talking about her book, Holier Than Thou. And I really just enjoyed just like their banter and the sarcasm, and they're two believers as well. So I resonate with a lot of things. Sometimes I'm like listening and just taking notes and whatnot. So that's the one that I'm currently listening to.
That's awesome. That's awesome. You know, this, the podcast is a great way to be able to get content out. It's a great way to be able to get a message out. And so I just love hearing kind of what, people are actually listening to as far as in the podcast world and arena. It just gives, even our audience something different that they maybe not know about so far that they also could check out as well. So, but, as we get started, man, I actually want to ask you, when people think about Suave Xav, right? When people think about, saying Mr. Plant Based Brotha.
Yes, sir.
If we had to ask family, if we had to ask friends, not just you yourself, but if we had to ask them, who are you? What would they tell us?
Oh, wow, man. I feel like that's such a loaded question, right? Who would they say? Did Jesus say something like that? I mean, who do you say that I am, Lionel? You my homie.
Yeah.
You my homie, we boys. But no, I think that my family and my friends and people close to me would say that I'm just someone that, loves God, very passionate about the things that I'm passionate about. If you know, someone that's willing to help people, and, I don't put myself above anybody. And yeah, somebody that, is flawed and not perfect, and, I argue it and, but at the end of the day, just someone that is just so passionate, and just tries to do right by people, and just an extrovert. They're going to say I'm an extrovert. Like, I'll talk to anybody. They're definitely going to say that. So yeah, I think those people, I'm just a cool, suave, loving dude. So.
Man, that's straight out of the great state of Florida, right?
Yes, sir. No. The United States of Miami.
Oh,
you know that.
Excuse me.
We're different, bro. We're just different, man.
Of Miami. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So and so funny because Xav and his beloved institution has now joined to the great SWAC, the Southwestern Athletic.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
What I
The
mean?
great
So
Bethune-Cookman University, for those of y'all who don't know.
who don't know, right? And so, if you're not an HBCU alum, if you don't understand the culture,
I feel bad for you. Like, real talk. I feel so far, sorry to this man. I do not know you.
yeah, so you may be missing out a little bit if you don't understand. But now we get to have, an even deeper, connection and rivalry and love for one another, right?
Yes, sir.
Because
Yes,
our
sir.
schools are actually in the same conference now. So that's gonna be exciting, man, to be able to maybe get out, and do some stuff together where we get to wear our paraphernalia and see Prairie View,
Yes.
prevail,
Yes.
of course, in every step of the way.
Man, y'all lucky I'm in Texas, because I do know I know a lot of PB grads, and they do produce productive people. Some of y'all. So I even go. Hey, I love PB. Campus beautiful. They my HBCU cousins.
He said it. You heard it from his own mouth. But anyway, man. So I actually want to go back to these United States of Miami, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because when we talk about people and kind of what they have going on in their life, this is built up from a lot of things that's going on in the past. You know what I mean? And so I want to just kind of get an understanding from you. When you think back to your earlier years, your earlier life, your family, your church community, even, what was this view that you had on, entrepreneurship? What is this view that you had on money, right? What is the relationship you had with it? And how did that affect how you grew up, and also how your process to become an entrepreneur was along that journey?
Man, I don't think I've ever talked about this on a podcast. It's so funny. But my mentor, shouts out to Trail Long. She's literally been my mentor since I was like 13 years old. And she always jokes like she knew me when my mom was pregnant, right? So it's so funny how like life, just the circle of life works. But I remember when I was around 12, 13, she was an accountant, is an accountant for a really popular church in Miami. And she was like, we're going to do an investment club. I would like to teach young people about money management and investment. And so I think I came up with the name. I'm pretty sure that I mean, my sister will be watching this and she'll be able to verify. But I love acronyms. So it was called Yalamadim, bro.
Yalamadim.
Yalamadim. All right. So it stands for, and this is like, Lord have mercy, like 20 years ago. It stands for Young Entrepreneurs Learning and Making a Difference in Money Management. Yalamadim. I could go like trademark.
Yalamadim. That's pretty fire. I have another friend who loves acronyms, and they literally love creating these 17 word acronyms. I'm like, at this point, we probably need to come up with a different name. Actually, kind of long, but Yalamadim actually sounds pretty good. That actually sounds like it's a good word like somebody would start using. Like, you know what I mean?
Yo, man, I might need to. This is a business podcast, so might need to trademark that. I don't know.
Trademark that, right? Okay.
Well, yeah, man. So we started that when I was like 12, 13 years old. And I just remember just being excited to learn about things I didn't know about budget and, interest and things of that sort. So I remember when I was going to college, fast forward a couple years later, I remember I was going to college and I know I didn't want to be in debt. I'm in college, just throwing this out. I have debt now, but I remember I was like, okay, I need to get scholarships. My mom always, I have a black mama, like you got a black mama, man. And my mom said, I have 4 children and, college is expensive. So you guys need to get an academic, athletic, band scholarship, community scholarship. Do what you can. She told that to all of her children. So I knew that I was going to get a band scholarship. And that was, another introduction into money management, like having people pay for you, whether it's education, whether it is a mentorship, a shadowing thing, whether it's an apprenticeship type of situation. So that was just a thought in my mind. And then fast forward a couple years later, I just remember being in college and just knowing, or maybe it was before college. I always knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I just didn't know what. I didn't know when. I didn't know any of the details, but it's something inside me from that inception of Yalamadim. It was like, yo, bro, you are going to be doing some great things. You were going to be an entrepreneur, but it was always in the back of my mind, but I just never knew the specifics of it until like years later.
Okay, so you always had that drive. So it's like God had placed that in your heart at some point early on
Yeah,
in life that you knew, like, okay, I want to be an entrepreneur, right? I want to be a business owner. I just don't have a specific focus or direction yet that I
right.
know that I want to go in. So then, kind of as we think about fast forward, right? What was it then that helped you to know kind of what that purpose and direction was then? Because I know a lot of people out there in that same position as well, where they have a drive to own something, right?
Yeah.
But they also feel like, man, I don't know they may even say, I don't even know what my gift is. I don't even know what my talent is, right? You know what I'm saying? So how did you actually kind of hone in on what it was that God wanted you to do in the direction he wants you to go in?
Yeah, so I graduated college in '09, and that was in the mid or the tail end of the recession. And I always knew I wanted to get my master's degree. That was just always a goal that I had. And so getting my master's degree, I got my degree in business, a master's in business with a concentration in entertainment. So I was like, yeah, I'm going to have my own artist management firm, entrepreneurship. And this is something I want to do and I want to pursue. So that was like a reintroduction from, teenage years of like, yo, I want to be an entrepreneur. What does it look like? How is it going to look? And so I graduated with my master's. I moved back home to Miami and I started to do some things, and it wasn't really like popping off the way I needed it to pop off. So I went into education, and I was like, okay, I'm just staying in education. I was kind of comfortable. I'm still in education, by the way. Don't get me wrong. In that sector, not a teacher, but in that arena.
Right.
And so fast forward to when I started Plant Based Brotha. No, let's rewind. So my sophomore year of college, I changed my major from political science to mass communications. I've always been a speaker, and that started in church, Sabbath school programs and Christmas programs and 13th Sabbath programs. Like I've always spoken in church, and that was always a gift that I had. And I knew that God had given me that gift. So I changed my major into freshman year, beginning of sophomore year, from political science to mass communications, PR, advertising. Sophomore year, I had an introduction to public speaking class, and my teacher, my professor, Carla Lester, love Miss Lester. What's up, Miss Lester? HBCU, so she was so, I just remember her being like so poised and so elegant and so like kind of firm but loving on us. And I got in front of class, and I remember being just so nervous. And, it just got easier and easier. And that was, from childhood to college, another, opportunity, gym experience that I had that let me know, like, okay, well, I want to be a speaker. And, I made people laugh. I knew that when I was in Orlando, graduate school time, I knew that I wanted to be a speaker at that time. And I had kind of like jacked up teeth and whatnot. And I knew I was going to be in front of people, and I was like, man, I don't want to be in front of people with jacked up teeth. So guess what I did, bro? Guess what I did? I invested in myself, man. I had like horrible gums. Like, I used to touch my gums and they'll almost bleed, very unhealthy dental care. And I was like, bro, I got to invest in myself because I know what the future will look like or is for me. You should have shouted right there.
Yeah. I know. I'm trying to hold it in because I just want to cut you off because you know what I mean. It is making me excited, but I'm gonna let you finish though. I'm gonna let you finish.
So man, I was like, man, I gotta invest in myself, bro. I had just bad dental care, man. I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna start taking care of my teeth, and I got my wisdom teeth moved, and got crowns, and got braces, and I was just like, I want to present my best self. So before grad school, I knew that I wanted to be a speaker, but speaking wasn't like it is now. I'm sure they were doing it, but it wasn't like I'm gonna make money as a business. This is my sole purpose. I mean, you had the Les Browns of the world who have been doing it for longer than we've been alive, but it wasn't as commonplace as it is now. And so that was college, and then graduate school, and joining the education sector. And then fast forward a couple years later, I've been plant-based for a long time, and What the Health movie came out. And I just remember people hit me up all the time. They were just like, yo, I want to go plant-based. What are some tips, and this, that, and the third. So I just kept saying the same thing, kept sending the same email. I was like, the Holy Spirit was like, bro, you should probably do something with this. And I remember, doing the necessary things to, start my LLC in Texas. And if you are watching this and you're in different states charge different amounts. Like Texas is like $300. Florida is like $175. So, just check to see how much it costs in your state. Right. But yeah, man, I got my LLC and all the necessary paperwork and whatnot and started that. And then shortly thereafter, launched Plant Based Brotha, where I help people transition and I show people mostly, the cool plant-based options that are available to them at restaurants, overseas, in their city, and beyond.
Wow, that's so awesome. So it's so interesting because it's like you're showing that as you lived life, right? As you saw the talents, as you saw the gifts, right? As you saw the opening of the opportunities, the doors that came, it's like you started to figure out and be able to be led by God to the exact place that He wanted you to be right now, right? Yes, and that's encouraging to show that, a lot of times we really just need to take cognizance of, okay, where are we at and how has God led us to the point, right? You know what I mean? And if we look back and take the time to look back and say, okay, let me see this step here. Maybe this is a direction, an arena that God has wanted me to be in. But you said something that was powerful, right? You know what I'm saying? And that deserved a couple shouts. But I want to go back to that, right? Because you said, I invested in myself because I knew what the future held for me. Now, were you at that time? Had you ever been paid to speak at that time?
Absolutely not. Nope. It was just
you're not been paid to speak at that time.
Nah, not at all.
Okay. You weren't even a plant-based brother at that time, as far as you being paid to maybe curate some stuff at a restaurant.
Nope, not at all.
So this was before you saw the thing come to pass.
Hallelujah.
You invested money, right, to actually put yourself in a better position to head in that direction. What was it though that made you make that decision? Because you had not yet, right? You knew that this direction I want to go in, but you had not. It wasn't like somebody said, "Hey, you got this gig coming up next week or in a month or so, right? So I'm getting myself right for that thing." You didn't have a thing yet, right?
Nah.
So what was that mindset shift that you had at that during that time period or in that moment that made you say, I have to invest money into getting me to this next place, the next level?
Man, so what's going on in my mind right now is like, you have to do it scared, thinking about the future and what could be and the possibilities is even with God on your side, it could be frightening. That's the flesh rising up. We're not going to deny those feelings of being frightened and anxious, like, yo, this is scary. But I think when you got to have a vision. As men, we got to have visions for what we want our families to look like, what our business to look like, our bank accounts, our spiritual walk, our ministries, all of that. We have to have a vision. God gave me that vision, and I didn't know what it looked like. I didn't know what the trajectory of my life at all. I just knew that this is something that I wanted to do. And I asked myself the question, which is a powerful question. Y'all going to need to write this down. What does your future self look like? How do they look? And I want you to be intentional about that. Do they have straight white teeth? Are they 30 pounds lighter? Are they reading their book, the good book every day? Are they spending time with family? Are they taking trips monthly? What does your future self look like? And when you can ask yourself that question and just hear from God, I think things get a little bit easier. Not saying you won't be anxious or be a little bit nervous about it, but I asked myself that question. My future self was on stages, looking fly, not having like a jacked up grill in people's faces, while I'm speaking to them, while they're taking pictures with me. That is what my future self looked like. And I had to make sure I honored that moment, and not just neglect it, and when you invest in things that you care about. I cared about my future. I cared about myself. I cared that I had horrible dental hygiene habits, right? And then I changed.
Wow. That's so how, if you had to put I know you may not remember the exact amount, right? But as far as a dollar amount, right? How much was that you invested at that time? This being years before you had your first speaking gig, right? How much money would you say that was that you put into that?
Man, you know, and dental work can be expensive, and thank God I think I was under 26, so I was on my parents' insurance and what have you.
Oh, that's a
But
blessing. Thank you,
that's
Jesus.
hallelujah. Yes, Lord. Yes, Lord. Maybe, you know, not being like ghost or anything like that. Maybe like 10, maybe 10,
Okay.
maybe 10, because you know it adds up. You know, 1,000 here, 3,500 here, 500 here. You know,
Right.
and this was over. Let's say maybe from 2010 to 2013, 14.
So over 3 years, about 10K that you put in to all that work. And I'm only asking that because to put a number to it makes it realer
Makes it
to
real.
some
Yeah.
people, right? Because there's somebody watching who's holding themselves back because what they're trying to do, right? And look, I've been in this position too, where you know what? I'm gonna try to gather up everything that is free, right? In order to get myself to this certain position, but I'm gonna penny pinch my way there.
Wow.
And the reality is, we have to invest, right? And specifically, when you talk about being a business owner, being an entrepreneur, we got to change and shift our mindset as far as how we think about money and how we think about investing, right? And investing is planting a seed, right? And if you don't plant seeds, there's no harvest without planting seeds, right? And so we're not going to be able to penny pinch our way to a successful business. That's not how it works, right?
That's
we
good.
have to plant seeds to grow a successful business, right? And so that's something that you did and that you earned early on. And I'm wondering, was it your mentor in that class that your Lambo, right? That positioned you? Do you think that helped you in that moment to be able to make that decision better because early on you had those people around you in your life who were kind of showing you what it is to invest, what it is to build a business, right? Do you think that really kind of helped you in college to be able to make that decision, or was it something else?
No, it was definitely that, because like some of us invest in ourselves and some of us invest in like stocks and whatnot. The beautiful thing about my life and my story and my experiences are I come from a village, right? And the village invested in Xav. And because the village invested in Xav, it's just like, you know, I kind of owe it to myself. So I never saw investing as like this one-dimensional thing, like, oh, I'm only investing in stocks, or I'm only investing in, it's like, no. Wow. It's kind of like these people invested in me. Okay, well, you know, I'm not a people pleaser, but I don't want to let them down. So I need to invest in myself. It's the least that you can do. It's the least. So it's my village. It's my mentors and life experiences that was just like, okay, bro, you got to invest in yourself. And I'll say this too. I'm going to fast forward a little bit. So with my brand, Plant Based Brotha, you know, I believe that there is a health message that God wants to use in order for civilizations, human people, to be healthy through diet and the stuff that they eat. And I am currently, right, this has been a long journey, right? This is like what, transparent lion in the Lambo. Like, it's been a long listen, it's been a long journey, but like I have been like struggling with like weight and, you know, being like this plant-based influencer and you know, just kind of like letting people know, like, okay, well, being plant-based, being vegan, vegetarian, you don't have to look like a stick, but you also have to be very, very healthy. And, you know, the truth of the matter is, like, I got a little gut, you know what I mean? You know, Suave's I've got a gut. But the fact of the matter is that I am actively working on that right now. And I have been for a couple years. But I have to take this serious and I have to invest in myself right now in this very specific season because of what I know that God is trying to do. Right? They're not trying to, people aren't trying to work with me. And here's the thing, you know, with all due respect, statistics show that if you are a leader and you are overweight, people are less likely to trust you. I don't care if you're a pastor. I don't care if you're a congressman. I don't care what you are. People are not more as likely to trust you. And you know why? Because they feel like if you can't push away from the plate, then how can you make decisions? If you can't have discipline in this area of your life, it's a trickle-down effect, and it's going to affect them, whether it's your boss, whether it's your pastor, whether it's whatever the case may be. So I am actively working on bettering me so that my brand go to the next level. Like, we're going to watch this this video in a year's time, and I know that God is going to do some things when I honor my temple, when I invest in my body, invest in looking good. I don't have to look like, 6-pack Jack, even though that's the goal. But people are drawn to that. You can reach more people when you say like, yo, I used to look like this. And it was the power of discipline, the power of the Holy Spirit, the power of eating right, the power of just doing all of these things working together in order to get to the next level, in order to make that I word that you like on this podcast and that impact. I have to make that impact. And it's how the way I look. So I want to encourage anybody listening right now. I don't care where in the world you are. Invest in yourself so you can make an impact. There are things right now that what is that thing on your heart, that thing on your mind, that thing that you need to change, that person that you need to get rid of, that situation that needs to go in order for your entrepreneur life to go to the next level, that bad habit that you need to get rid of in order to be a biblical disciple. What is that thing? You know what that thing is for you. I know what it is for me, right? So just work on that and watch God do the rest. We got to believe.
Man, that's so true. It's, you're saying it straight, right? Because the truth is, in everybody's life and everybody's journey, there's hills, there's obstacles that we all have to get over, that we all have to climb. And a lot of times that thing is holding us back from having more impact on the world that we could have, right? And when we think about, and this is why I love biblical entrepreneurship, because the Bible literally has so many principles there that can help us as entrepreneurs. And when those Roman centurions, right, came to arrest Jesus, when he was giving the sermon on the Mount, they made the statement that said, look, never a man spake as he spake, right? But I loved, a commentary that was written about that situation that said, never a man spake as he spake, because never a man lived as he lived, right? It was because of how he lived that gave power to his words, right? And so we who are now trying to empower other people through whatever area, through whatever industry that God has given us to go in, the thing is, the first person that has to be impacted by it is ourselves. Right. It's like if I'm trying to build systems to help somebody upgrade their systems, but my systems are jacked up. Talk about it. How can they trust me to upgrade their system? If I'm a bodybuilder, if I'm working out, right, and I'm out of shape, and somebody gonna say, well, I don't actually want to look like him, so I think I'm gonna find somebody else, right? You know what I'm saying? Who looks like they're living the message that they're preaching, right? You know what I'm saying? And so in entrepreneurship, it's the same thing we say, right? You know what I'm saying? He's not living the message that they preaching, right? You hear people talk about the church and say stuff like that all the time. But we got to do the same. We got to think the same mindset as an entrepreneur, right? Are we living the message that we're giving, right? If you talk about people growing their social media, you need to grow your social media, right? You need to be growing your own social media.
You need to have fruit. You need to have fruit.
Bruh. You got to have fruit.
Yes, sir.
Proof, right? You know, look at this, man. There's so many things that we could gather, right? That show. Now, I want to ask you though, because as you're talking about Plant Based Brotha, I know you was talking about being able to go and speak, and how you saw that was the area that you were going to go into. When was that first time that you actually were able to monetize these areas, of influence and of impact that the Lord was leading you to? Because you saw and you started to invest in yourself, because the community was investing in yourself. You saw, what, I got to also continue to invest in myself. It's only right that I continue to invest in myself and my craft, right? To continue to make myself better. But what was that first time you were able to monetize these areas of your life that God was leading you into?
Oh man. It was so long ago, right? I'll go with I'll definitely go with speaking. It was at a church, in all honesty, it was at a church, and it wasn't a lot of money, but I was just getting started out, and I was like, whoa, people actually will pay me to speak. Like, I mean, I could speak in a brown paper bag. And so it was that reminder where it's like, okay, let me get this money. All right, let me get this money and let me use my gift. Because I you gotta crawl before you walk. And I did a lot of, I'm not so haughty and so up here that I didn't do a lot of free stuff. No, I did a lot of free talks and engagements and this, that, and the third. But yeah, it was at a church, man. It felt really, really good, and I was just thankful to God. And I probably tithed off that little check, and it grew from there. But like the other side of that is that you and I were very involved in the church. And I think us church goers have to be very careful to not expect that the church is going to be like behind us. Sometimes the church doesn't have like the means, and sometimes they do have the means and they don't know what you do. And sometimes they do know what you do, but they're not really trying to pay and whatnot. So you have to work that out, work out your own soul salvation with that. And sometimes you have to go outside of the church. You know what I mean? Like I would love to do as far as like speaking. Sometimes the church, okay, yeah, we don't have money to pay for this speaker, but you know what? Guess who does? The Boys and Girls Club does, right? Do you know this school does, or this youth program does? So sometimes us believers, we have to go outside of the church and not feel rejection and disdain and hurt because the church is not paying us or whatnot. It's church. The church is a people. Yes, the church is a people. The people that run it, the entity, right? Sometimes it is very true. Whereas they have to see you hitting on other streams, other opportunities for them to kind of like be reeled in and say like, okay, yeah, this is it. So I want to encourage all of my believers out there who are like, man, the church, they're not supporting me. Sometimes they can't support you. Sometimes they can, and the season or timing isn't right. Maybe you have to work out some things, but don't get discouraged from that.
No, and I like how you said, right? You did a lot of free things before that, right? You provided value, right, before that. And a lot of times, because when we say the church doesn't pay, there's a lot of churches, right, that don't pay, and there's definitely a lot of churches who do pay, right?
Right.
Because the thing is, though, the reality is people have to recognize the value, right? The church has to also recognize the value. And if they recognize the value in what you're going to bring to their community, right, to their congregation, or to like you say, the Boys and Girls Club, right, to their constituents, to their school, to their students, right, wherever you're going or whatever that target audience is, once they recognize the value that you're going to bring, then they will pay. Because what we have to ask ourselves, and what I'm realizing more and more, is the thing that people receive has to be greater than the money that they're giving up.
Wow.
And once that thing is greater, they have no problem giving up the money. Because it's like if Xav had $1, I got $1, and we both giving $1 back and forth, how long are we gonna do that? Not that long. At some point, it's gonna be like we're exchanging $1 for $1, right? So when you think about your value, you can't think, right, I'm giving equal value to the thing that they're giving up. This $1, I'm giving $1 worth of value for $1. No, like what you actually got to do is you got to give $5 worth of value for the $1 that you're getting, right? You know what I'm saying? Then they have no problem exchanging the $1 because they feel that the value they're getting is higher than what they're exchanging. Because if you can exchange $5 for $1 every time, people will do that forever because they're getting back more than what they're giving up, right? And so that's what I had to come to realize, right? And I think that we have to realize as believers, like Xav is saying, is we have to get to that point, right, where and we have to change our mindset on what value we actually bring. Because a lot of times it's like we don't even know the value that we bring. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? And I want to, that leads me to just ask you, Xav, like, what was that moment of impact that you realized how much value you actually bring, right? What was that situation where you impacted an individual or a school or a person that you helped, transition to where you said, man, this impact that I'm having is about more than making money. You know what I'm saying? It's a value that's greater than what I'm even asking them to give me in return.
Yeah, man. I the first thing that came to my mind is that, one of my core values as a person is value. Like I absolutely positively, like, getting paid is cool, but I absolutely positively want you to know that Xav is valuable. His presence, being here, what he brings to the table, depends on who you are, it can benefit you. And so it sounds cliche, but it's so real when you experience it for yourself. But it's just like, what would you do if like money wasn't an option? So I remember, it was in the beginning stages of my entrepreneurship journey. And I was talking about, like, I did a presentation at a local high school, and it's so funny how God works. Like, I currently work at that high school, like right now.
Mercy.
Yeah. It's just like, what were you doing all back then, God? But I forgot what organization or group it was with, and it was free. It was like a career day, and I was just talking about boys etiquette. Back up. When I first moved to Houston, like, I've always liked etiquette. Like, I like the idea and the belief that like men should be gentlemen, and so on and so forth. So when I first moved to Houston, I'm gonna be an etiquette coach. So I literally got trained by Ann Miller Etiquette in Houston, Texas, and she, like, an OG. She's been doing it for such a long time. And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do etiquette classes and And then I was like, I really want to do that. And so it was in that season of my life where I was just like, well, let me, instead of etiquette, like gentlemanhood. And so I did a presentation, and it was well received for the most part. But afterwards, the boys were coming up to me because a part of my presentation, we learned how to tie ties. We were in the inner city, and unfortunately, a lot of those young men did not know how to tie ties. And I brought ties and I brought bow ties, and I just that day is etched in my memory because they were going to prom like the very next day, and they were just so excited. These young Black boys were just so excited, like, yo, I know how to tie a tie. I don't only know how to tie a tie, I know how to tie a bow tie as well. I'm going to tie my bow tie for prom tomorrow. And it was in that moment, it was just like, it's all about the impact. It's all about taking people to the next level. That's what we do as coaches and consultants. It's like, you take this person from point A to point B, and you might listen and think like that's super small and that's super unsignificant, but it absolutely is significant when the trajectory of these boys' life. I was just reading something a couple of days ago, and it was just an argument. It was probably on Twitter. Because they're always arguing on Twitter, right?
Right.
So it was an argument, and people were talking about like, JSU and Deion Sanders and the boys wearing suits, and the other argument was kids wearing hoodies and hats in school, and just understanding like, yo, they might be feeling like very low, and let them wear their hoodie. We wear our hoodie when we were like, man, I don't want to be bothered. I'm about to hop in, go to Target right quick, Whole Foods, if you bougie, or Walmart, and Kroger, and HEB if you live in Texas. But so it was just a conversation on like attire, and someone mentioned they said it's important to talk to. Oh, that's what it was. So Deion Sanders, there was a picture of the boys, and one of the it was a 2-button suit, and both of the boys, a couple of them had both buttons buttoned. Us gentlemen, us dudes that wear suits know that you button the top and you leave the bottom open. If it's a 3-button suit, you button the top 2 and leave the bottom open. And someone made note like, hey, if you go to a business meeting, it's going to be an expectation. If you go on a scholarship interview, if you are being searched, sometimes people like, we don't want the smallest of the things to make somebody like, like you never taught that. So that's why it was so impactful being at that school and doing a gentleman talk about these boys, like, yo, treat ladies with respect. Even whether you're dating them or not, right?
Right.
If you're not attracted, even if it's your homegirl, if it's your mom, if it's somebody that you think is unattractive, like, treat them with respect. Make sure you're walking on the outside and not the inside. And then we ended it with that. And I just remember their faces, and I saw the pictures, and it was just a momentous occasion that I was like, man, it's all about the impact. It's all about, because sometimes the work that I do in the various facets of my life is not microwavable. And it can seem like, oh man, the thankless job, or even if you get paid, like, it's not immediate, but planting those seeds, and you got to have faith. You got to believe that the seeds planted will grow. And they remember one thing that you said, and Dr. Maya Angelou said, and I can remember what you said. How'd you make them feel? Did you make? And that's something that I try to do as a biblical entrepreneur, as a man of God. I try to make people feel dignified. I tell people all the time, I don't care if you're the janitor or the CEO, I'm speaking. Right? Hey, how are you doing? Like, I'm not like, no, I'm not that dude. I try to make people feel seen, feel dignified, feel honored, and respected. You know what I mean? Doesn't matter what age you are, you want and you need to feel respected. So that's something I try to do in like my daily life. So and I hope I did that for those young men. I hope they see me. They probably won't remember me. Hope they see me one day like, yo, you taught me how to tie a tie, and I learned how to be a gentleman from you. And that's like all that I need, man. Hopefully they make it to the kingdom of God. So
amen.
Amen. They can tell me that.
You put them on a trajectory. I mean, sometimes we don't think about how the smallest impact, right? Mm-hmm. It only takes, right, moving something slightly in a different direction.
Yeah.
That way down the line, it ends up in a different place, right? Like if you think about moving 1 degree to the right, if you would have stayed straight, you'd end up at a certain place 3 miles out, but 3 miles out, if you turn 1 degree, you're in a totally different direction, right? And so we don't think about how just a small impact of teaching this young man how to tie a tie and what that means for him. How does he now look at, he had a different feeling about people himself, right? You know what I'm saying? How he thought about people that maybe wore suits and how maybe he said, I could never get access to a suit, but now he knows how to tie a tie, and now he inspires himself to wear a suit one day soon and very soon. Like, you know what I'm saying? Just these small different transitions. You don't know the impact. And like you say, honestly, it's only in heaven that we're actually going to realize how huge of an impact we had on so many people. I mean, like even you, if I asked you right now, like, how many people have you had an impact on in all of your speaking career up to this point? I mean, what would you say? You probably can't even give me a number.
Knowing me, because you know how we like trying to downplay ourselves and our comments, man. I'll probably be like, not that many, like only a few. You know what I mean? Like no one has said anything to me. So I think like I gotta break out of that habit. But thinking. I don't want to say thinking small. Is it thinking small? I don't know.
Yeah, I think it is thinking small and having a scarcity mindset, because I'm sure you've impacted thousands of people. Right.
Wow. Yeah.
If you sat down and actually just start thinking about it, right? You know, when I left my first, I'm a real estate agent out here in Houston, Texas, right? And when I left my first brokerage to go to a second brokerage, my first broker told me, like, Lionel, are you leaving? Did you really do the work and stuff? You know, kind of tried to shame me a little bit, right? So I actually sat down and wrote out all the people I had worked with that first year, right? Wow. Everybody, every single person, right? And I had a huge list when I was done. So I realized, like, it wasn't because I wasn't working with people. Like, I worked with so many people who literally fell through for no other reason than they just decided not to move forward, right? So it wasn't just because I wasn't doing anything, right? But that let me see, like, man, I connected with these many people. And so I'm saying it to say, you, right, if you sit down and did that, if people who are watching this interview, if you sit down and just write out, right, all the people who you have come across in your business and your, you know, with your product or service, right? And just list out all these people, right, who've even maybe just heard, because we're only thinking about the person who bought. We're only thinking about maybe even the school who hired, right, or the one that paid. Yeah. But there's a lot of individuals that were in that range who just heard the information about what your product could do. And maybe down the line, maybe they didn't get your product. Maybe they bought somebody else's product that helped them out down the line. But it was yours that they remembered that had them even look up the certain product in the first place, right? So it's like the impact is so much greater a lot of times than even the monetary value a lot of times that comes back because of it or for it, you know? And we impact thousands of people, millions of people even through our lifetime that we never even remember, that we don't realize, right? And so, you know, I think that's great, man. Who are some of the people that you look up to or that inspire you as far as a speaker? You know what I mean? And that you say, because I heard you mention, you know, Maya Angelou and that fire quote, right? That says, "Look, people don't remember what we say; they remember how we make them feel." Yeah. Whoa,
powerful,
right?
OG.
Powerful, right? You know what I'm saying? But who are some of those people that, you know, that even maybe out now, right? Maybe they passed away, right? That you look up to as speakers, right? And that even inspire you on this journey when you're seeking to connect with people using your words.
Yeah, man, that's such a great question. I would definitely say out of Dallas, Dr. Tony Evans, because he's just been so consistent, man. And I am striving. I think it's okay to mention that you are striving. I am currently on track to be, right? Whatever it is, you know, whatever it is. So we don't make it seem like we have arrived. I feel like we are always like learning and growing. So as I am striving and continually on a daily basis, kind of like sanctification, right? Every day you fall down, you get back up. Trying to be a kingdom man. Just Dr. Tony Evans is huge. Dr. Miles Monroe. They are kind of like pastors, but also speakers and encouraging like men to be, live and be more like Christ. Who is out right now that I like? I mean, I'm definitely inspired by speakers like David Shands and E.T., of course, and Jeremy Anderson. And, those are the ones that come to my mind right now. Those are all guys that man, they're killing the speaking game right now.
Right.
As we mentioned before, 20 years ago, they were speakers, but it wasn't Les Brown. I'm inspired by him, of course. But it wasn't Dr. Maya Angelou. I want to leave the women out. There are a lot of women that are doing some amazing things.
Right.
Oprah and not just Oprah, just how she's able to make people feel seen and heard. Like those things are very important to me as I'm having conversations and speaking and to make an impact on people. Politics aside, the Obamas, I like to think of myself as charismatic, because you get more, I always tell my sisters, you get more bees with honey than vinegar. So
no, definitely more honey than the vinegar for sure. So I actually want to transition and kind of focus, because I know you've been talking a lot about the speaking, right?
Yeah.
But you also are the plant-based brother that you
the one and only.
before.
Yes, sir.
And I remember this time that you actually invited us to this very creative event that you had going on with this one business, right? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
How are you able to create some to put together some very creative events, right? That grow your business, but also that highlight other businesses as well? Because I really thought, that event that you put on, that was genius to me, right? You know what I mean? So, how do you continue to, I guess, so my question is kind of, can you explain how that event came to be? And also, how do you go about as a person who's kind of out in this space as an entrepreneur, right? Creating different opportunities for yourself, through your creativity.
Man, so I at that season of my life, I think I try to have like a word for the year. And I think that season, that year was like intentionality or whatnot. And I try to be intentional in everything, but that year was like, yo, do it. One of my favorite African proverbs says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go with other people. And I am the collaboration king. Like, yo, listen, we are stronger together. And then because I'm real and honest with myself and I know my strengths and weaknesses, like I know that there are certain things that I'm not as good at. I don't like back end stuff, paperwork, logistics, numbers, miss me with that, but put me in front. Let me engage. Let me ask the questions. Let me be that person, because you need that person, right? You need that person. And we all play different. We all have different roles. So yeah, that event, I think that they reached out to me. Not even going to lie. I think they reached out to me and was like, "Yo, we should do something." And then I was
can you explain who you're talking about? Because I know, I was there, right? I got the invite, but for the audience, right, they don't know what we're talking about. So can you kind of flesh it out? You know what I mean? So they know what we're talking about right now.
Yeah, no, for sure. So a couple years ago, I partnered with one of my favorite restaurants in Houston. They're no longer here, but they still are in San Antonio, and it's called Green Vegetarian Cuisine. Favorite restaurant, I want some right now. But yeah, so they had a social media manager at that time, and he was looking to do more things in the community and partner with individuals and whatnot. And I was like, yeah, I would love to do that. So he brought me in and we had a conversation, and he was like, well, what can you do? And I was like, well, I am all about it. As a business owner, as an entrepreneur, you're always evolving. So at that season in my business's life, in my brand's life, I was like, I just want to let people know that plant-based food is good, and it shouldn't be feared. It's not daunting. You're going to be satisfied, and it's flavorful. So I was like, well, let me have a meet and eat. And a meet and eat, you'll meet me, Plant Based Brother, But you will also meet other people as well. The art of conversation. Of course, this is pre-COVID. We could be all up on each other. So it was pre-COVID, and yeah, like people came out. The people that I didn't know, they saw it on Facebook. They saw it on a lot of people I didn't know, and a lot of my friends supported. Thank y'all for supporting. I appreciate y'all always.
We got you.
Yes, sir. But yeah, it was a meet and eat, and I did it like 3 times. I did it twice in Houston, once in San Antonio, and it was all very successful. And by successful, I mean people left. They had great things to say. They enjoyed the food. They enjoyed the service. They enjoyed the topic of the table. And that was what I like to curate spaces and events where my talents could shine. Like, you got to know yourself. If we were doing something where it was like, talking about math equations, like that is not a space where I will shine because, chemistry and numbers and algebra, like, no, let's not do that. But if we're talking about like popular culture, if we're talking about, maybe the theme for the table or that night was purpose, I mean, all of us, I feel like that's a huge buzzword in these times that we're living in. And have you tapped into your purpose? I love to hear other people speak, and then you introduce yourself and you talk about the topic for the night. And then it's like, oh, wait, Lionel, you are a podcast host? Well, I am an entrepreneur and I'm also a Christian. And these people connect, and it's also able to bridge partnerships and friendships and relationships. And I feel like I've always been that guy, like introduce dope people to other dope people, and then they become friends, and then they leave me out. Hey, cool. I don't care. You know what I mean? Just, connect and do what you have to do, or get that connection or that business opportunity or what have you. So yeah, it was a meet and eat, and I look forward to doing maybe 2022. We'll revamp it, because I'm talking about it now and it's on my mind, and just do something even greater and larger. I'm letting people know that plant-based food is amazing and great.
Yeah, man, I think it is. And to me, that was one of those events that I thought, man, this was so creative, right? To be able to put this together, and to be able to connect with another business that is in your field. And like you say, I think a lot of times we try to go at things by ourselves. We don't think about how do we collaborate with others who are in the space that we can add value to them, and they can also add value to us. So it's a win-win situation, So as far as that creativity, what are some tips or some, pointers that you would give people, no matter what field they're in, that you would say, okay, this is something that you need to think about when you're trying to create something that's different in your industry or space, and also to be able to collaborate with other people?
Yeah. Definitely don't be afraid of no. We miss 100% of the shots that we don't take. Send that DM, send that message, reach out to that person. There are people out there that would like to collaborate with you. So don't be afraid of no. Like we've heard no so many times. And my mentor always tells me, he was like, we've all failed before. A lot of us are afraid of succeeding and winning. And that's like etched in my heart, because I'm just like, yep, that's me. You're not gonna put my card like that, bro. Please don't put my card like that and just show my life like that. But so that's the first one. Making sure that you don't be afraid of no. Number 2 is just understand that that should have been number 1, actually. I think that our creator created creativity. So we are created by default. So go to the creator, go to God, go to Jesus Christ. Like, Lord, I know that you've given me some creativity. Please let me shine and be used for you. Say that prayer and believe that he will. Numero 3. Get out your own head. Get out your own head. Get out your own way. I say that because even in my own life, in full transparency, like I gave up on speaking for a season of my life. I'm still kind of currently in that season because I had so many doors closed in my face, because I'm like, oh, there's so many speakers out there. But I'm always reminded of the cereal analogy. There are so many cereals, and guess what? The people who are on a budget, they're going to get the great value version. The people that, are rolling in dough, they're going to get the bougie version. The people who are moderately, they're going to get probably like the name brand version. So everybody, your tribe will find you. So, I'm glad that Rihanna launched, her empire. She would have thought like, man, they already got Kylie, Kim, or, a Mac, cosmetics. I don't need to do it. It's like, nah, I saw a space in the marketplace, so don't be afraid of that. Don't be afraid of that. Get out your own head. I think this number 4, make sure this is when you really want to tap into your creativity, make sure that you are doing a poll. I do this twice a year. Make sure you are getting a poll with some friends and like poll your friends and your family, and the ones closest to you, the ones that know you, and ask them like, hey, what am I good at? What could you see me doing? And you will be surprised that you'll be like, oh yeah, Lionel, man, you're the biblical photographer. You know what I mean? You're the this, that, and the third. And it's so interesting and funny to see how people see you. But I think that we should poll our friends and those closest to us when we were trying to figure out, like, well, what can I see myself doing? And then last but not least, number 5. 5 is a good number, right? This is a good number. 5, definitely, I would say for number 5, make sure that you are in a space where you are able to be creative. And again, getting around the right people is so imperative. Lionel is one of my great friends, and we can talk about business and God and this and that and so many other people I can name. And I'm able to be in creative spaces and ask creative things because I know that he has this trajectory. So who you surround yourself with is one of the most important things. Like,
True.
Surround yourself with those people. I want to throw this one in. This number 6, I guess.
Yes, number 6.
Yes, sir. Okay, now I have to do 7 because 7.
I was gonna say we might as well go to 7 now.
We have to go to 7. Number 6. Do not limit your creativity. If you know how many conversations I had where people are just like, I'm not creative because I don't sing, I don't dance, I don't draw, and I don't paint. People think that this creativity is in a box. It's like, no, bro. Like me matching my headband with this shirt is creative, yo. Lionel being able to write a whole poem book. Are you kidding me? That is creative, right? Being able to come up with great ideas for children to be active at church. That is creativity. So don't put your creativity in this box at all. Bro, we can't do that. Creativity is not a one-way street. And number 7, number 7, I got to make this one good. How do you be creative? How do you collaborate? I gotta make this good. This gotta be the best one.
This gotta be, you gotta knock it out the park with this one. You gotta knock it out the park with this one.
Oh, okay. I got it. Affirmations in the morning time. Wake up and say that God has made me creativity. I reject the feelings of uncreativity. I reject the feelings of unproductivity. Powerful. I reject these feelings that the enemy puts in my mind. The enemy puts these things in my mind, so I know he puts it in your mind. And that I'm not creative, that nobody wants to work with me, that I don't have talent, that my time has expired. Like, it's happening and it's real. And we're not going to act like these thoughts and these feelings are not real. But we have to go to the throne of God every morning. God, what do you want me to do? Raise your hands, lay prostrate, get whatever posture you need to get, and say, God, how can I best make an impact? Please give me divine appointment so that the person that I meet on the sidewalk, we can collaborate together. We can go into business together. I can introduce him to my best friend or whatever the case may be. So start your day with the Lord and speak those affirmations. And the affirmations aren't about self, because when you affirm yourself, it's all pointing back to God. Like, I am this because God is this. I am creative because I serve the one who created creativity. So start those every morning when you're in that season of doubt. We're in that season of like, I don't know what I should do. When I'm in that season of like, everybody is doing it. Like, nope, in the mirror, look in the mirror. I am creative because God made me creative. I am amazing because God gave me breath in my body to make an impact on whoever I'm supposed to make an impact in. God will give me divine appointment. I believe, right? Because you can say it, but not truly believe in your heart. Right. I believe that he will put me on the right path in order to make my mark, win souls for the kingdom through my business, through my demeanor. They always say you might be the only God that some people experience. So pray that prayer with those affirmations when you're feeling not creative, when you're feeling discouraged, when you're feeling down and out, and believe that he can and we will. We got to make that choice. Make that choice to do it, and then message me later and tell me how it turns out. Please.
Yes. And with all that you said, I know there's some people who are thinking right now, and after considering all of those 7, the thing that really stood out and the question that they want you to answer is, what is the bougie cereal?
The ones you get at like Whole Foods.
Because I know people are thinking, they saying bougie, I know the name brand, but what's the bougie cereal? I'm trying to see if I'm bougie or not.
Bro, listen, the cereal that, it don't got all those names that you can't pronounce. It's probably like $8, $9. That when you know what I mean? I don't eat cereal, but like I can imagine there's a cereal out there, no preservatives, no sugar, no high fructose corn syrup, all of that, and it's like $9. That's the bougie cereal.
Oh, that's the bougie. So look, now y'all know, because I know you were listening to all 7 of those points, and you couldn't even hear him talk about how creative you are. You couldn't hear him talk about the affirmations because you still thinking in your head, Googling, trying to figure out,
what is it?
But what's the bougie cereal though? Look, don't miss the point that we're trying to make.
Yes, sir.
Don't figure out what the bougie cereal is. Okay,
that is funny. That's funny, man.
But man, how can people get in touch with you? I know you are the Plant-Based Brotha. You got some great things going on. What do you got going on right now, and how can people get in touch with you?
Yeah. So right now, I am in this season of, I want to say like a rebrand, but I'm trying to learn TikTok. Trying to definitely learn TikTok because let's not lie. Let's not act blind to the fact of everybody is on there. People want short, concise content, and I've been putting it off. So you might see some TikToks from me in the near future. You know what I mean? So working on that, and then working on more partnerships. I know that I've been dragging my feet on having I'm a biblical entrepreneur on a side hustle because I was in my head, in my bag, in my own way. So I'm in this season of like more collaborations and more paid collaborations, knowing my worth. People messaging me all the time. I'm like, I would love to work with you. I love what you're doing and I love your products. Can I send you over my rates? And so I am in that season right now, reaching out to entities and doing specific strategic partnerships. And then you can connect with me on Instagram, The Plant Based Brotha. Like and subscribe on YouTube, The Plant Based Brotha. Find me on Facebook, Plant Based Brotha. And I'm on LinkedIn. If you're like a business person, like hit me up on LinkedIn because that's like my professional side. I'm not this one. I'm like an onion. I'm not like one-dimensional dude. I'm X.Handfield on LinkedIn. And yeah. Follow me Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. Send me a message. Let me know that you watched it. Let me know how much you love this podcast episode. That will make my day. So
definitely do that. As a matter of fact, you can do that by going to Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor. It doesn't matter. YouTube. Definitely leave us a comment. Let us know what you think about this episode and any other episodes you watch. Give us a review, right? 5 stars, by the way, right? 5-star reviews so that other people can see what we got going on with the podcast and celebrate the biblical entrepreneurs that we bringing on. Look, if you have, right, a vegan brand out there, right? I mean, cupcakes, cookies, ice cream. If you got a fire vegan burger, if you got some wings that you reach out to Plant Based Brotha because if you're trying to connect with our audience, there are people who know that they're gonna go to Xav to find out what's new, what's hip, what's happening in the vegan arena. And so you guys can definitely work together, the partnership. That's what we're trying to do with the Lion and the Lambo, and that's also what we're trying to do with our sponsor for today's episode. And so I want to pay some bills real quick. And while we're paying some bills, Xav, I want you to just be thinking and considering, for someone who's looking to start their entrepreneurship journey, right? They want to become a biblical entrepreneur. What are some things that they should consider as they're getting started, right? So I want you to be thinking about that. We're going to pay some bills real quick, and then I want you to answer that question as we close out of this episode. All right. So this show is actually, right, the Lion and the Lambo is actually sponsored by Tent Makers 101. That's Tent Makers 101, where Christian principles fuel business practices. So if you are a tent maker, and I know you're wondering, am I a tent maker? Look, if you have a gift, a talent, a product, service, any type of business that is seeking to follow in Jesus' footsteps and meet the needs of the community so you can impact them with the everlasting gospel, then guess what? You are a tent maker. And so each day we're meeting on Facebook with other entrepreneurs in order to foster growth, collaboration, right, with the collaboration king, and strategic partnerships for increasing your brand awareness and your revenue, right? We truly believe every business is a ministry. And when you accomplish God's purpose for you in the world in the form of products and services that provide true value to your particular audience, then guess what? You are truly successful. So don't wait. Join us over on Facebook now at Tent Makers 101 Biblical Entrepreneurship. So Xav, I want to just toss it back to you just as we're looking to close up our first ever podcast of the Lion and the Lambo. Man, I appreciate you come on and sharing all the wisdom that you shared. But as we close out, there's some people who are looking to go into start their entrepreneurship journey. There are people who may be at the beginning, right, of that journey, are trying to figure out their trajectory. What are some things that you would tell them that, look, this is what you need to consider as you're getting started that you want to remember?
Yeah, I would definitely say these three things. The first thing is go to God and ask God, what is it? Be very explicit. Sometimes we don't go to God with explicit things like, Lord, what is that you want me to do? Closed doors. I trust that you will order my steps, my starts, my stops, all of those. So go to God with it first and foremost, because that's clarity. And how do you go through it? Is going to His Word. Going to His Word is important because when you go to His Word, you hear His voice. His voice, then you can decipher, okay, well, is the enemy telling me to do this? Is this myself or is it God? So spend time with our Father. That's number one. Number two, do it scared. A lot of us are scared. I was scared. I'm scared now. Just do it. Do it. What does that look like? That looks like, asking questions. And that means, writing your vision down. Because if it's in your head, it's no good. In your head is no good, because I know y'all have so many ideas in your head, as do I. So write it down, pray over those things, and talk about it with people that you trust. And three, don't reinvent the wheel. There is someone somewhere that is doing or is trying to do what it is that you're trying to do. So why would you reinvent the wheel? Kind of like eat the watermelon, spit out the seeds. The stuff that applies for your business and your brand, do that. Of course, don't make it a direct replica, but you can absolutely kind of do your own thing. And just don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Go with God and don't reinvent the wheel, because listen, all of us can be successful out here. In Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. We definitely see why you are a tremendous speaker. I'm sure that many people are going to even be reaching out to you just to speak, because you gave us many sermons throughout this podcast today, right? So even though you are and this is why you have that collaboration. This is why you reach out and you connect with different people, because people see the gifts inside of you. And so even like how Xav said, he's going through a season of rebranding. There's going to be people who listen to this podcast, who watch this podcast and say, he's exactly who I need for my youth group. That's exactly who I need to come speak to what I got going on over here. And so, again, if you know any biblical entrepreneurs, you're watching this, you're listening to this, you say, Lionel, this is somebody that needs to be on the Lion and the Lambo podcast. I want you to reach out to me at info@lionandthelambo.com. That's info@lionandthelambo.com. You also can reach out to us on Instagram @lionandthelambo. Please reach out, follow us there, right? And we're going to be putting out some great content, some great interviews. And yeah, let me know who you got, under your arms that you say, man, you need to connect with this person, this lady, this gentleman, and get them on the podcast so they can share the impact that they're having in their industry for the glory of God. So thank you guys for joining us. Please subscribe, please follow, leave us some comment, right? And give us a thumbs up, because of course that's going to help us to be able to reach out to more people. But in saying that, hey, have a good day and go have an impact in your world.